Hi guys, what's up? I was gonna make a What If Naruto Was OP but Neglected Part 2 yesterday, but sorry, that didn't really go as planned because I didn't sleep the night before, and because of that, I ended up sleeping throughout almost the whole entire day after school, and I didn't have time to record, render, or edit, render, and then upload because I ended up waking up at like 1 a.m. So I didn't really get to do all that. In the last episode, I basically just went through all of the basics, the backstory of how everything plans out, or like the beginning, basically, of Naruto and how all that works. And I ended it off like right before not Mito, Naruto and Menma were gonna fight. But before I get to that fight, I wrote a little bit before it just to explain some more. So the only reason Naruto was signed up for the academy was because Minato wanted to show why Mema was the superior brother of the family, and why Mema was like 10 times stronger, and wanted to basically show how Naruto's weaker. But he doesn't, like, he goes in the beginning for around like a year, yeah, like a year, but then doesn't go back until the age of like 7 through 9. I'm gonna say you guys pick, I guess. And on his technically his first day, actually scratch that. He doesn't go for a year. Like when he first gets signed up, he only goes for like a week, and then and from there, he doesn't go until around 8 or 9. And when he first walks in, Sakura sees him and like just starts kind of making fun of him, and a lot of the other class, like the whole entire classroom, was also kind of making fun of him because they've heard stories and seen how much of a loser he is, and they always see him walking alone, and so they kind of tease him and like just mess with him completely. And his friends that are in canon, like his normal, like Shikamaru, Choji, and all them, they don't hate Naruto or don't think he's a loser, but they don't really talk to him because all the friend groups have already been kind of set and they've stuck to that. So they just see him as kind of a person. But the only person that like really acknowledged him and wants him to actually sit next to him is Sasuke. Um, and when Sakura and Ino see that, they both scream at the same time, "Why do you want a demon like that sitting next to you?" And uh, and then Sasuke would get mad and say, "Well, the kid you call a demon has been my friend and uh known me longer and better than any of you ever have, or since I was a kid." And then tells him, and Sakura, because that backs off and kind of like sticks to, not sticks. Let me try to explain it. Like she backs off because she still wants Sasuke to like her, so it kind of like obeys and listen. Um, Naruto like barely ever tries. Like he has barely passing grades in the academy. Like even though if he wanted to, he can just completely ace every single thing, and it's impossible for him to get Rookie of the Year because he hasn't been in the academy. So like technically, his grades would all kind of be on the normal side, so he couldn't really get Rookie of the Year. And so um and he just seems either average or a little bit above average sometimes. And Hinata actually did not like Naruto. I just want to ask you guys right here, who should I make Naruto like, or Naruto like, or so he like Naruto? Who should I have be his like kind of lover? I guess because the reason Hinata doesn't like him is because Naruto actually, when they were kids, kind of at the time gave up on friends and gave up on helping people because it was kind of where he was still living with Minato and Kushina, but they still abused him and nobody liked him. So at the time, he kind of gave up on friends. And when he saw Hinata, kind of just ignored it and walked off. Um, he doesn't make friends with Sasuke until like around after the Chiya massacre. Even though he was like what 5 or 6 at the time. Yeah, I'm just gonna say around 5 or 6, maybe 7 is when he really like when they become friends. And Hinata actually has a crush on Mema because Mema was the one who ended up helping her. And yeah, Naruto has no problem doing jutsus at all and like pays somewhat good attention. Uh, he doesn't. Yeah, like how I said earlier, he doesn't really try when they tell him to do a jutsu. Kind of just does the bare minimum. And yeah. Um, Sorry, it's because I have to read a script. Because if not, I'm gonna forget what I wanted to say. Then, since I got all that out of the way, this is when the fight with Mema happens. And Mema at first just completely badmouths Naruto and challenges him to a fight. And Iruka is fine with this. And Miyato, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Kushina are all there because they like to see how his training's going, and they also like to see the other students, see how good the future ninjas are gonna be, and all that. And so they all think Mema can win with ease because they've been training him like pretty well. Not as much as Naruto. Like Naruto surpasses Minato at the time. Like even though he's barely like 10 or 8 or 9. And the fight begins. Wait. Fight begins and Naruto decides that he wants to see where Mema, like how his power is for the time, and wouldn't like try to really fight back and would kind of take the punches, but it would barely affect him. And with that, he can see, okay, Mema's trying this hard, and he would know kind of his power level, I guess. And so then the fight would just start with taijutsu mainly, and it would look like Mema has the upper hand, but in reality, Naruto just taking it because it doesn't really affect him at all. Um, by the way, Mema has fire and wind chakra. Naruto just has every single chakra nature. So it would kind of like in the middle of Mema just what it looks to be him just trashing on Naruto. Naruto just like kind of lightly taps him in the stomach. Like, here, how do I explain this? If you guys ever watched One Punch Man, and when Saitama and Genos are fighting, the way like right before he hits him, he just kind of like hits his forehead like kiddingly, I guess you can say. That's what he does, but to his stomach, and this actually sends Mema back a bit, like not flying at the point where he hits the trees, but at the point where like it kind of almost knocks him on his feet, but he like barely catches himself by doing a backflip. Then Mema does a fireball jutsu, and it's actually pretty like big for his age, because again he's been like training really, really well and stuff. But Naruto would just like summon kind of a water sword. I know it's a jutsu. I've seen like lightning sword, and yeah. So he just gets a water sword, and it's so strong at the point where he can just slice right through it as if it was like clear, like as if it was a solid, and it's pretty powerful. And a lot of people, like mainly the older adults, will be like pretty surprised because it's a higher ranked jutsu. It's not like a joning level. I think it's not getting tuning. Yeah, I think it's like a mid to high tuning level. I kind of forgot, but yeah, he would use that to slice it in half, and yeah, and Memo would throw shurikens at Naruto, and then Naruto would body flicker out of the way, just completely avoiding them. But like the way it would happen is he would kind of like it would look really blurry, and it would look like, okay, if you guys also seen Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, and when Goku rides on Planet Namek, how they're all trying to attack him, but it just phases right through him because like of how fast Goku is actually moving and just completely dodging them. But to the human eye, it just looks like he's just standing there. That's what Naruto kind of does, and Mema would think he won and probably just like hit Naruto, but then like right right when it goes through him, he body flickers right behind Mema, and oh wait, no. So it would go through him. Mema would just see him just still walking right towards him, Mema would be in shock. Everybody would be in shock that they just saw all the shurikens go right past them. But in reality, Naruto just dodged them so quickly they couldn't see. And was called Mema would be in shock at the point where he doesn't really notice that Naruto body flickers like right behind him, but right when like he doesn't notice like for a second, but then he kind of sees Naruto and like goes in for a punch, like a back punch, but then right when he hits him, Naruto turns into wood, and then all of a sudden he just feels something cold on his neck, which is a kunai of Naruto's. And yeah, it'd be a kunai, and Iruka would say Naruto is the winner, and everybody would just be absolutely shocked that Naruto like can even do anything well, because he never tried, so nobody actually knows how he acts, how he, you know, how he fights. By the way, this fight takes a few weeks after Naruto first gets into the academy. I forgot to say that. It's not like the same day. It's like a little bit after. And then Naruto what's called would stare right into Mema's eyes, and for a second, he'll like Naruto would get like 10 or like 1% of his bloodlust or 10% of his bloodlust or so, and it would have his bloodlust would be his own from getting abused, kicked around, and kicked out of his house, and so that would be a lot of bloodlust right there, and just like madness, I guess. You would get all of Ashura, because I'm pretty sure Ashura would be like always hiding his bloodlust, but I'm pretty sure he would have a lot, even though, you know, he's supposed to be like all good and stuff. I'm just gonna say that he's gonna have all his bloodlust, and he's gonna have all of Kurama's bloodlust. And Memo would just freeze, and like he would almost throw up. He would hold it back, and even Minato himself can like sense it, even though it's like directly towards Naruto. Mema, even though it's directly towards Mema, Minato is gonna be able to like somewhat see it still, and like feel it, and even Minato, like it makes him freeze in fear. And this is like the beginning where he somewhat realizes his mistake on what he's like done to Naruto, because he feels it and says in his head, all this bloodlust comes from him, like, and he realizes he is probably like the main reason why he has all this bloodlust, and he wouldn't realize his full mistake, but then he would kind of just like, oh wow, but he would kind of like pay no attention to it. Naruto would be kind of cocky here and go up to Tsunade and Jiraiya and say, oh, what a nice student you have there. And this would like kind of get Jiraiya and Tsunade mad, because in this timeline they don't like Naruto whatsoever. And they all kind of like are surprised, but they think that the Nine Tails is probably controlling Naruto or like manipulating him. But they can't really do anything because there's no actual proof, and it still sounds, looks, and he still acts kind of like normal Naruto, but so they can't really do anything or prove it at all. Then there's gonna be a time skip to the exams, and this time like, Naruto would still want to be somewhat Hokage, because he still really likes the village, but he thinks that maybe if he earns a lot more respect by just becoming Hokage and protect everyone, maybe they'll finally like him, because even though he kind of gave up on that, he still somewhat wants it to happen. And what's it called? They would hold the exams, and everybody in the village knows that Naruto wants to be some sort of Hokage. And Iruka would say, "Okay, Naruto, do the cloning jutsu for the exams." And Naruto would actually ask, "What kind would you like?" And to this, Iruka would be, "What do you mean, Naruto?" And Naruto would say, "Well, there's shadow clones, water clones, fire clones, wood clones, and a lot more." And he would say, "So which ones do you want me to do?" And Iruka would say, "Are you implying that you can do all of them?" And what's called Naruto would just kind of ignore this question, and Iruka would just say, "Okay, just do any." And to his surprise, Naruto would actually do 5 shadow clones. He can control how many shadow clones he can do, like to the exact number. And I'm gonna say I know this is like really OP, but he has so much chakra and like a lot basically, and so it's gonna be able to do like what already like I'm not sure how much he can do in canon actually. Now that I think about it, either way, just like 10 times more than he can do in canon if you know the number. And Iruka would pass Naruto, and what's called wait. And Mizuki, he would actually still ask Naruto to steal the Sacred Skull, because, again, Naruto doesn't really try that much, and so he doesn't actually know his full power, and he thinks that he can easily take on Naruto. And Naruto's not an idiot. He knows what Mizuki's trying to do, but Naruto still accepts it because he knows there's a few jutsus in there that he'll like to learn, so he can have kind of an excuse to go and take it and go bring it back. And it was called and Mizuki just makes up like a lie saying that if you can do this, you might even be promoted to a high Junin level, and if you learn some of the techniques, you can be Hokage someday. And so Naruto would later that night take the scroll, and Iruka would find out. He'd be like one of the first people to find out, beside the Hokage, which is still Minato. And that's when. And Naruto, he would just like kind of make a copy of a copy of the scroll inside of his head, and just like copy down all the jutsus for him to learn later. But then that's when Mizuki comes after he's finished cloning and copying everything, and he asks Naruto to give him the scroll, and then I actually like this part that I kind of came up with. And Mizuki Iruka would arrive, but he would still be kind of in the shadow and say, "Oh, what's going on?" Because he sees that Mizuki is talking to Naruto, and he would hear how what Mizuki's telling him, which he's telling Naruto that he's the Nine-Tails Fox, and that's why everybody would. That's why everybody would, or that's why everybody hates him. Oh my god, I cannot speak. So it's kind of early in the morning right now, and would tell him that you have the Nine-Tails Fox inside of you. That's why everybody hates you. Why you shouldn't even be in this village. And Iruka would hear like his plan of betraying the leaf and all that, and Naruto gets an idea and would pretend to be shocked and like start crying on the ground. And that's when Mizuki charges. Instead of the Demon Wind Shuriken, I'm gonna say that he has a sword. And Naruto would he would just pretend to cry and just kind of like have his hands on his eyes, like pretend like wipe away tears. And then Iruka would see how Mizuki's about to like slice Naruto in half, and he starts running to try to jump in front of him. But before he can even get there, you can just see and hear Naruto say or look up, and then with like a sinister smile, kind of, would say, "Just kidding. I already know that." And would just pull out a kunai and stab him, like slice his throat, or like slit. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, and it would just slice his throat, killing Mizuki almost instantly. And yeah, like you couldn't even see. Like he would have still been running before he even noticed that he was dead. That's how like fast Naruto like just sliced it. And even Iruka from a different angle couldn't even see what Naruto just did to him. It just looked like Mizuki got his neck sliced, and so because of that, Iruka would have already heard his plan and see that Naruto's innocent, and he wouldn't really explain anything to the Hokage, but he would like report back and give the scroll back, and tell the Hokage that Naruto was manipulated. And even though it's Minato and he still hates Naruto, he still accepts it, because he still realizes that Naruto's a really big asset to Leaf because of the Nine-Tails, but he still like treats him really poorly and badly. He would report back, and the next day in the academy, he wakes up and he just runs there. On the way there, he meets up with Sasuke and just walk together. They talk about how they hope they're in the same group, and when they get there, they just announce the groups and who's gonna be with who. and all the groups are normal except I would make Shino, Mr. Bugman. I'm saying that he's just kind of a side character at this point, and he's just like in a whole different group, and he's not really there. And so instead of Shino, it's gonna be Hinata, Menma, and Kiba. So yeah. Uh, let's see. Sakura would hear the groups and be happy and sad because still Sasuke, Naruto and Sakura, uh, Naruto and Sasuke. So yeah, and I'm saying that Kakashi comes in late like normal, but still, and Naruto still does that little prank that where my God, I really cannot speak English today. I'm sorry. So we still do that one prank where he'd put a chalk. I'm not sure what it's called. That thing above the head and it would hit Kakashi in the head. And yeah, and Kakashi in his head would say, not really impressive so far, and would body flicker like right up to the roof. And like right when he looks up, he can already see Naruto. Naruto just reading a book, and again, I told you guys how Naruto is just really fast. Imagine that one squid guy from I forgot what his name is. The sensei from completely forgot what the anime's called. But yeah, either way, like he can do a whole bunch of things before anybody even notices. He's like he can go grab ramen or make ramen, eat it, and come back before anybody can even like see him. That's how fast he is. And I feel like Naruto, since he still has a goofy side, he would like buy a fake beard and just be sitting there with a book and say, "What took you so long, Kakashi Sensei?" And Kakashi would just like be really like extremely surprised, just like, how did he get up here? And then Sasuke and Sakura, oh my God, would like arrive a few seconds later, like not that long, but And Sasuke would say that he mainly likes to train with Naruto and eat ramen with him, but he still says the adventure line where he wants to kill Itachi, and Sakura would say the dumb line of, "Oh, I want to be with that line." And to this, Naruto would say it's a dumb sounding dream. And Sakura would go off on Naruto and try to hit him, but Naruto would easily just dodge and hit her lightly in the stomach. And this one's a lot more lighter. Like, it just knocks her back a bit. And Naruto, like, she's about to try to punch him again, but then he holds it with one finger and tells her, I'm just saying, there's so much more to this world. We all are going to see death, life, and just an endless cycle. That's the shinobi world. And for your dream to be that, it disappoints me. And he would say, I guess you're just too weak. And then, like, Naruto would lean over to Sakura's ear and whisper, and Sasuke doesn't like weak people, does he? And Sakura would, like, shut up from then and there, and just, like, sit back down and think about Naruto, because I think I'm gonna actually make Naruto and Sakura like useful, because I don't get why people make her useless in What Ifs, because like yeah, that's how she is in canon, but just change it. And yeah, because Naruto would say this because he wants stronger teammates and hope that this will get to her. Then Naruto would say that he likes ramen, training with Sasuke, and he wants to help Sasuke reach his dream. But then with a serious face, and then with like a sad face says, he says, and I don't like when people call me a demon or fox or anything along the lines. And then with a serious face, Naruto say, and for my dream, I want to become Hokage, earn respect to the village, and someday bring peace to the shinobi world. Like a completely dead face, serious face, yeah. And to this, everybody would be shocked. Kakashi would say, you need to be strong in order to become Hokage, and you do realize this, don't you, Naruto? And Naruto would say, trust me, I know. And I know Kakashi Sensei. Kakashi would like tell them not to eat because they might throw up. And since Naruto is technically a perfect Jinchuriki, he can tell that Kakashi Sensei is lying. And would tell Sakura and Sasuke it's okay to eat and that he's just lying, Sasuke would trust Naruto because he knows that Naruto can well sense lies because he's tested it himself. And since Sasuke is trusting him, Sakura also trusts him because, well, she followed Sasuke basically. And yeah, and everybody would kind of like spend a little bit of time training. Sakura would actually go off by herself and try training. At first, she would only train taijutsu because she doesn't know. Actually, no. Before they leave, Naruto calls to Sakura and tells her um what's it called, or tells her that I can tell that you have better chakra control if you don't want to be so weak and slow me and Sasuke down. Train in medical ninjutsu and taijutsu more. And so Sakura would take kind of like trust Naruto on this because sees that Sasuke trusts them and stuff. And later that night or day, she was spent like almost all day training, and Naruto would actually kind of check up on her and see, and it says in his head, hopefully she won't be so useless. And I think that's where I'm gonna leave it off, like from here. And hope you guys enjoyed this part. I'm gonna try to make another part again tomorrow, the day after, or the day after that, somewhere between like 3 days, hopefully, if everything goes right. Because I'm actually going to in-person school soon, so I'm not sure if that's gonna be affecting making videos or not. And if you want a part two, yeah, part two, um, the like goal is going to be 10 likes, because last time it was 5, but you guys actually hit that pretty quickly, even though it was my first video. So just 10 likes, and then I'll make the next part. So yeah, thanks for watching, and peace.